welcome back to our channel. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Tasha.
And this is Her Real Perspective, where culture meets cinema.
So each week we're going to be diving into reviews of TV shows, movies, and the like, and giving you our take from a Black woman's perspective.
All right, so this week we're talking about Paradise. Yeah, Paradise on Hulu.
Yes.
New show featuring Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden.
Yes.
And in this show, we see that Sterling K. Brown plays Xavier Collins, who is his agent. He is the head
of security
for the president, and the president is killed, and he is the suspect.
Yeah, kind of looks like he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be reviewing, and let's get into episode 1.
Okay. Let's talk about Sterling K. Brown and what he's done previously in his career. So I feel like the first time I saw Sterling K. Brown was in This Is Us. Did you watch This Is Us?
No.
This Is Us is
going to watch a show that makes me cry.
Show. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like emotionally draining every single episode. Anyway, it is excellently done. Based on him doing like This Is Us first, my point was like, I think he is a person who takes his time choosing like his next his next project. Yeah. He wants it to be something that is meaningful and impactful and, you know, those kinds of things. Yeah. And I say that because I haven't seen him in much between.
Yeah, he was in Black Panther.
And, he was in Black, oh my gosh.
I know, so good.
Yeah, he's in Black Panther.
Very briefly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I know, I'm like, this is curious. Like, he's gonna be gone soon. I just knew it. Yeah. But yeah, he was really good in that. So like he's had some like small little things, but I feel like they all, I don't know, have been like impactful. He doesn't seem like a person that's just like, put me in everything because I'm trying to get rich. I think he's like, this is my craft. He went to school for like art performance and things like that. So I think he's like choosing his roles very carefully, intentionally. And he's like a very charismatic guy. He's beautiful to look at. My God. And then you have James Marsden, who also, I like him a lot. Most recently, he has done the Sonic movies. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So, and it's such an unserious role. Yes. I'm like, okay, this is like cute little whatever, but like unserious for sure. And so, I was like really happy to see him back in something that was a little more serious because he is a really good actor. Yeah. And I really like him a lot. So, yeah.
Good stuff.
They have really good chemistry. Oh, they're both like very charming and whatever. And nice to look at. Yeah. Both of them. Yeah, for sure. Episode 1. I don't have the name.
It is called Wildcat is Down.
Oh, Wildcat. Yeah. Okay. So, this episode opens with Sterling K. Brown kind of like being a little bit restless in bed. Eventually he gets up and he starts like getting dressed, packing lunches for his kids, presumably at this point, we don't know. He leaves a note like on their lunch, like to eat their fruit first or whatever, and he leaves a note for them to get brushed and dress your teeth. And he's like being like a silly like
I didn't know
dad.
What that was.
Yeah, at first I was like,
maybe somebody had a learning disability in which he had to, they interpret things differently. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I did not think that. I originally was like, I read it normal. I read get dressed, brush your teeth. And then I looked at it again. I was like, it says get brushed. And I was like, oh, dad joke. Okay. Oh, got it. He's a corny dad. Yeah. Which is cute. Love it. So yeah, that's kind of how it opens, and then he goes for a run. He is jogging, and he ends up in front of this house. Yeah. And he's like talking to this guy named Billy. They joke a little bit. And then they talk about, I don't know, Billy is telling Sterling K. Brown or Xavier that he's like very old. Like, you need to slow down. You're going to have a heart attack. You're so old. and Billy says something like I'm the muscle, like, you see these biceps or whatever, like if something happens, I'm gonna be able to stop the bad guy. You're gonna like talk to him or something.
I thought outrun him.
Oh, you're gonna outrun him.
Yeah, because the other guy runs slower than Xavier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then let's see. Xavier says the biggest biceps in the world don't make up for having the smallest dick.
Yeah,
which was hilarious.
Yeah. He's like, by the way, I'm talking about yours.
Yeah, just so we're all on the same page, talking about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. He obviously works with Billy.
Yes.
And so it's like he ran to his workplace.
Yeah.
And said like, hey, how's everything going? And then he went back home, to get ready for work.
Yeah.
And so his kids are like making breakfast and stuff. And he's like, yeah, sorry, I wasn't here to make breakfast for you. So you see he has a daughter. She's like a teenager. And then a younger son. Daughter name is Presley. And then the son's name is James.
Yeah.
And so she's like, taking care of them.
Yeah.
Like she made them both breakfast, and she's like, are you still not sleeping, and things like that. And he's like, I'll start sleeping when you stop worrying about me, and I'll stop worrying about you when you start sleeping. And so it's a cycle. So cute little interaction and stuff. And he's like about to tickle her and stuff. And she's like, I don't want to be tickled, and stuff. And so he said, okay. So I thought, one of my thoughts was like, oh, this is nice. Like having showing that like boundary and parents actually respecting it, because when we were growing up, they don't. Like I think we're like the generation that's like, okay, like you don't have to hug, you don't have to feel pressured to do that and stuff like that. And that's what I'm working on with my kids, because I'm like, give me the freaking hug, bro. Because they're so tiny and stuff. I'm like, come over here, hug. And she's like, I don't want to hug. And I'm like having not to be like, give me the freaking hug, bro.
I said,
I am your mother. Like, and so with my husband, like also Jamara, I say like, you can't make them like hug or whatever. If they don't want to be tickled, if they don't want, then we just have to say, okay, that's it. So I appreciated that part of the show, and it's very small, but I'm like, oh, good. Good job.
I had a similar thought. Because my kids are older. My kids are old enough to babysit her kids. At least my oldest one is old enough to babysit her kids. But when my kids were little, that was like my biggest thing, was like teaching them bodily autonomy. You are in control of your body, and you control what people are allowed to do with your body. And so if you do not want to give someone a hug, that's okay. If you don't want to give them a kiss, that's okay. We always just like, we kind of had to shape this behavior with our kids and with older people, like grandparents, great-grandparents, those kinds of things, because they see it as a form of disrespect. Of like, you don't want to hug me, that's disrespectful. I'm your elder. I said give me a hug, so give me a hug. Or like, I want to pick you up. I don't care if you want to be picked up. I want to pick you up, so you're gonna let me. And so we had to shape that behavior in other adults, because no, you're not. You're not gonna pick up my kid if they don't want to be picked up. You're not gonna hug them. You're not gonna touch them. Don't touch them. And so that was like a really big thing that we worked on really hard, and we had to have lots of conversations with people of like, it's okay that they are saying no, and it's not a form of disrespect, and maybe they will interact with you in a different way. So like, you can give a high five or a fist bump or something. And so it took a while for people to like be okay with that and understand that like, she said no. Leave her alone. Stop doing that, because I think kids grow up and they just learn to blindly follow what adults are saying. And oftentimes, majority of the time, surely, adults are all well-meaning and they're not trying to do any harm. But sometimes they are trying to do harm. And I'm not going to set my kids up to be abused by someone because I've taught them to blindly follow what a person says because they happen to be bigger than them. That's not something that we're going to do. No. And
so you reminded me, and I was thinking, I got to remember to say this, that Tasha told me that stuff. Like, when you were raising Adley, And like she doesn't like I'm not gonna make them hug anybody. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's good. So then I remember that like with Jada and Jalea, like they don't have to hug anybody.
No.
Like, you know, and so like even my dad is when they were little, now they run to him, but he's like, oh, you don't want to hug me? I'm like, Dad, they'll probably hug like a little later. Like they need to get accustomed. And you know my kids, they like
I know, they come
like an hour
over to my house and I'm like, hey girls, and they're like I will circle back in a couple hours when you're happy and playing. Yeah. And then you'll talk to me and interact with me and it'll be great. Yeah. I think as adults, we can regulate our emotions and things. Yeah. Unlike kids, they don't they haven't learned those things yet. Mm-hmm. And so like it's our responsibility to be like, okay, cool, you don't want to talk right now. Or okay, cool, you don't want to hug right now. Yeah. Great, we can interact in a different way. Yeah. 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 So that was important. Yeah, so, definitely. I love that too. Especially because, I mean, I don't know how old she is. She looks like, what's her name? Presley? Yeah. Looks like she's in high school. Yeah. And so I think like at that age, knowing that like a man may want to do something to your body that you don't want, and to be able to feel confident in saying no, stop. Yeah. And for Xavier to teach his daughter that like this is how a man would respond, which is to say, oh, you don't want me to do that, okay, no problem, and move on. I think that's so important. Yes. For everyone, but I think particularly in the Black community, because I really like appreciated that he was just like, okay, no, that's fine. I'm not going to touch you in that way because you don't want me to. Yeah, it's a good lesson for little Black girls to learn. Yeah, this is what respecting boundaries look like. Yes, yeah. And so then after that, he goes to work. Oh, yes. Xavier. Yeah, he goes to work. And so Billy is going to go. He's like, has another coworker that is going to come and relieve him because he needs to leave to take care of his own personal matters in the restroom. Child, I'm looking like, is he talking about poop? Yeah. Yeah, like, okay, it's a bit too much information, but whatever. Like, what are we doing right now? And so... Also, why is there not a backup person? Yeah. Because you're guarding the outside of the house. Yeah. What if you have stomach issues? Yeah. You have to call the person, your next shift person to come in early. Yeah. But what if they can't? Yeah, that is a valid question. That doesn't make any... I was like, why don't they have two people doing this? Yeah. So that if a person gets sick, obviously it can be a one-person job, but if someone gets sick or they have an emergency and they have to leave, what the heck are they... They can't leave the president unattended. Right. That's nuts. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Like, or anything could happen. Some come and shoot the guy. Then what? Yeah. Man down, and now this person has scaled the fence and they're inside. Like, that doesn't really work. There you go. So that doesn't work. That doesn't seem smart to me. Yeah, at all. So, but yeah, so he asks he asks Billy, where's is the president up? And they're like, no, he's sleeping pretty late today. And so then he goes up to check on the president, and he goes in and he has been murdered. Then all of this craziness to me ensues because I'm like, call it in. Yeah. Call it in. Yeah. He opens the door and you can see the man laying there in like a pool of blood. And so I'm like, there are cameras in the hallway. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of thinking about this a little bit after the fact, but like there are cameras in the hallway so they can see, maybe they can't see into the room, but they can see that you are standing there in the doorway. So if you open the door, you see him dead in the pool of blood, and you stay in the doorway and you say, hello, friends. Something is afoot. Yeah. I need some help, some backup, whatever. Like the camera behind you can see that all you did was open the door and call. Yeah. Yeah. So there is no way for someone to be like, oh, you did something crazy because you did all of this stuff for 30 minutes before you alerted anyone else of what the F is going on. Yeah. I'm like, and maybe foresight has taught him, or experience has taught him, like, okay, I was the last person to tuck him in, or not tuck him in, but see him at night. They said that his room door was sealed at 10:40 p.m. or something like that. and now I'm discovering him. No one else has been in this room.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe he's thinking, like, okay, for sure, they're going to say that I did it.
Yeah.
So let me just figure out what I can figure out before I call in the authorities, which is what I think he was doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, I would not want, like, they're going to think it was me. Therefore, let me stay my ass in this doorway where the cameras can see me. I open the door, I call for backup. Yeah. I didn't go in. Yeah. I didn't do shit. Yeah.
I know.
It was not me.
Yeah, that part didn't make sense to me. I'm like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah. I'm looking like,
call it in.
What's he doing? Yeah, I know. Alex and I were watching this. I'm like, call it in. Call in. Why is he not calling it in?
Yeah.
Call it in. Like, hello? What are we doing right now?
Yeah. So that was crazy. But, so then the show jumps back to 5 years when he gets the job.
Yeah.
And so the jumps 5 years back. The president has been reelected as the incumbent. Mm-hmm. And he asks Xavier to be his head of security.
Yeah.
So this was an interesting interaction.
Very. What the F?
Yeah. Okay. So Xavier's like, well, so Xavier's not saying anything really, and the president's like, okay, so why did you want me, Miss? Why do you want
the
to hire
president?
Me?
Is so jokey. Yeah. I'm like, be serious. Yeah. For a minute because you're the president. Yeah. And I need you to not be joking. Like, take off your shoes, and then he goes to take off his shoes, and he's like, I'm just joking.
Yeah. I'm like, what people will do. He's like, I got one guy to like lay on the ground or something.
Yeah, to like sit on the floor. I'm like, please be serious, Mr. President. Please be serious.
But then you can see like he's so personable. So then
he's very like charming and for sure.
So he tells Xavier that he's very qualified. He was on top of the list, things like that. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and it doesn't hurt that you're black.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking like,
oh my gosh. I don't know. So on one hand, I'm like, okay, you're being honest. But then at the same time, it's like, bro, like,
are you freaking kidding me?
I was like, so racist. I don't. Yeah, I didn't know what I was just like, dude, that is so weird. He's like, okay, so you're hiring me because I'm black. He's like, no, I'm hiring you because you're good. Well, if that's the case, then why'd you say the black part?
Yeah, he's like, I'm hiring you because you're good and it doesn't hurt that you're black.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a progressive.
I'm a Southern progressive.
Yeah. He's like, and I gotta, basically he wants to have more black people on his thing. And like around him.
Yes, he says, I'm a Southern progressive, but I have all these white men surrounding me or whatever.
Yeah, and so it was good that Xavier said, I don't think hiring me is the flex that you think it is. Right. Or like that it gives off the message that you think it gives. Because to me, it seems like, okay, it's just another black person serving you.
Right. And I think that's what he was saying.
Like, it's like, okay, you hired the head chef to be black. Like, similar to that. Or my head maid.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like,
my head housekeeper.
Yeah.
Because I love the blacks.
Yeah.
So I made sure that she was black. Like, what are you doing? That's so freaking weird.
Yes.
And it's like, but this goes back to him being completely unserious. To me, like, I can see him being, it's James Marsden, okay? He's very cute. Yeah. He's like, he has great hair. And this is like mentioned in a couple episodes later. Someone's like, oh, I see why everyone likes you. And he's like, yeah, it's probably just the hair. Like, yeah, you have great hair. But he's like a handsome guy. And he's charming and personable and all of those things. But it's like, be serious. Yeah. I think this comment goes back to him just being like, he wasn't joking. He was serious. He meant this when he said it, but it goes back to him, like, I don't know, like, read the room. Yeah. Like, having that thought is fine, I guess. But, like, being like, oh, yeah, I want you to be the person because, like, you're black. I am a progressive. I need to have black people around me. Duh. Yeah. You're black, bro. Yeah. Like, it's just like, or you could just say, you are the best of the best. Yeah. And I will only have the best. Yeah. Being my security. Hello. Yeah. I'm the president of the United States. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just felt like there was like so many other things you could have said that would have made more sense and not been fucking racist, bro. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
I know. And so he takes the job, obviously. But yeah, it was a very interesting interaction, especially with all the stuff going on now and all the AI stuff. Yeah.
Child. Yeah.
So, crazy.
Yeah, very. So, yeah. So we get that little piece of information. And then I think it goes back to present day. He's back in the room with the dead president trying to figure out what happened. So he goes over, he checks like his pulse or something, which clearly he's lying in a pool of blood from his head. So probably not alive, but I guess you have to do your due diligence. And then he, like, as he's down there checking him, he sees like blood streaks, or I don't know, they weren't really like footprints, but like he sees blood like leaving a trail of blood leaving the room, going out onto like the balcony or whatever. And so he's like looking around trying to see what's what. He goes into the closet and he's like looking, whatever. He discovers that some piece of something, we didn't know what it was at this point, but turns out to be like the iPad, like all this information is on an iPad or something, or a tablet of some sort, and it's missing from the safe. So this person, whoever did this to him, was able to unlock the safe and take it and leave without anyone seeing anything, which makes no sense because he has around the clock security. So like, what are we doing?
Didn't he call down and say, or somebody said, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, it's fine, and stuff. Keep anybody away from this area.
So he tells them, like, do a perimeter sweep. We're on a lockdown, whatever. And the person is like, what's going on? Like, tell me what's going on. He's like, I don't have time to do that. Just lock it down and go search the perimeter.
And he does.
What? I don't know, because he doesn't tell them what to look for.
And he calls Billy, who's at home using the restroom, and he says, you must come back now, like Christian Leitner, which is their code for the guy's gone, the president's dead. So he tells him that, and the guy's like, okay, I'll be back. He's like, I need you back like 10 minutes ago, and so he's like, he's on his way back. So
Sterling Xavier, thank you, is like trying to figure out what's going on. So he shut down the place, but he knows that he has very limited time to figure out what the F is happening before he calls it in, because when he calls it in, the place is going to be swarming with other people who are trying to do their own investigation, because that is their job. It's not his job to be investigating anything. So he's like, I need to like figure this out. So he goes down, talks to the camera person. And the guy is like, oh yeah, like nothing crazy happened, you know, like this, he went to his room and oh, little Miss so-and-so showed up. So we knew that was going to happen. So that's also not out of the ordinary. So she must come there all the freaking time. And I'm like, okay, this is dark-skinned black woman. I'm like, oh, okay, I see you. So they, like, that happens, and then you see him, you know, talking to him from the doorway. He leaves, and then they're like, well, that's pretty much it. But then, like, that's it for the president. Like, no, there's no other activity around the president's room. But then you see, like, Billy come. I don't know how these people got these jobs. So you see you see him come, and he like starts his shift. Apparently he comes in the house, he like goes in the fridge, grabs a drink, he like slams the fridge door, goes to the living room, sits on the couch, turns on the TV. I'm looking like, what are you doing? Is this? I'm confused. You're literally being paid money to like make sure that the house is secure. Why are you just walking around eating things? That doesn't make sense to me at all. And no one else is around, and then they're like, oh yeah, then he lays on the couch. He sleeps for an hour and a half. Like, what is going on? And then they realize that the camera system goes down, so he like turns on the TV or whatever, he lays on the couch, and at that moment the camera system goes down, and then it's just frozen. The feed is frozen, but no one notices because I don't know.
Oh, he said because he's like, it's not something you would notice if you were a young person just starting their job. Like, basically, the person who was in front of the cameras, not this guy, obviously, was inexperienced. And he said, who was manning the cameras? And they said, Jane.
Oh.
Yeah, so she obviously...
Jane.
Oh, but... Well, never mind. We find out later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then he's like, so yeah, the camera's down for like an hour and a half or however long it is. And then the cameras are back up and everything is fine. Like nothing happened. And then you came in this morning. And so he's like showing him, he's like, I came in for my shift at 5 a.m. or whatever. Like these are all things that happen every day.
Yeah.
So like none of this is out of the ordinary. Like, don't know what happened to the cameras, but like everything is fine. You came in. And I feel like here you can see him like go to the room. He knocks on the door. He opens the door. Yeah. And I think that you can see can you see the president's body?
I thought you could see it.
Yeah. A little bit. So like again, back to my previous point of like you should have just stood in the doorway, opened it, and been like, oh shoot, let me call someone. Yeah. Because then no one could say anything. They saw you leave on camera. Yeah. And they saw you come back. And when you open the door, he's on the floor, like, struggling. So, it's not a you issue. It's, like, whatever. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. What else?
Very crazy.
Shucks. I feel like there was more. Oh, so then we do the flashback to what he got told, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so so then we go to a flashback. So Xavier is finished with his recovery and all that, and he's going back, and he goes into this room with these important people and the president and stuff, and they're like, well, we're about to tell you, no one, only a select few people know, and blah, 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 it's top secret, and things like that. And he's like, are you aware of what's going on in Colorado, or whatever? So something's going on in Colorado. Yeah. And then, do they tell him everything then, like, to us, or we just figure it out?
No, they tell him.
Okay. Yeah. So they believe that a catastrophic event is going to occur that's going to wipe out the United States, or is it the whole world? Just the United States.
I think it's okay. I feel like he said he couldn't have said the world.
I know.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I think so too. So it had
so the US.
At least the U.S.
At least, yeah.
And so they are preparing by building an underground city. In Colorado, in like one of the mountains. Yeah. And so they tell him this.
Yeah. And that's how the first thing. So they tell him this, and then it cuts to someone, I don't know if it was him, like outside, someone looking up into the sky, and it's like a bright sunny day or whatever, but then like it keeps panning, and you can see that there's clearly a line like in the sky, and then there's this big light that I think is supposed to be the sun, like simulating the sun, and then it kind of goes up through the panel or whatever, and then you can see like all of this equipment, and you can see like the US, whatever part of the US they're in. It looks like everything is brown. Like, it looks like there's no life. Yeah,
and there's like scaffolding because people are working out there. Yeah, there's people working out there, I guess, maintaining
the thing.
But it was definitely strange. So Sterling, Xavier, after they tell him this information, they get back to present day, of course, and so he's running out of the place. He's like starts running like back towards his home or whatever, and then you see they're panning around the city, and everybody's got on these like watches or something, and they're like scanning everything, and like this guy's in the pond and he looks at the bottom of a duck and stuff, and it looks like it's a mechanical duck or something, he puts back, and then so everything's like very technologically advanced, or everything's being run by technology, more so definitely than what we have now.
Stuff is real stuff.
Like nothing's real, and so then we back out and we're like, oh, this is like a created like little world and stuff, and that's why everything is not this is paradise. But I'm like, because the president's like house does not look very fancy. It looks like in a neighborhood.
It just looks like a house. I'm like, where is he going? It reminded me of when I went to South Africa for my like study abroad thing. We went to Nelson Mandela's house, and I was like, how do they have the president living here? That doesn't make any sense. This is like other regular people, maybe like wealthy, but still like regular people live next door to him. Like, what is this? It made me think of that because of the high like fencing that they had in the front or whatever, like the gate or whatever. I was like, this seems weird. It seems like we would not have a president living here. And then my husband and I are watching this, and he's like, oh, this is like after he was president, because 5 years earlier he says like, okay, there, you know, I got my second term, and then I can like be done with all of this craziness or whatever. And so we are thinking, okay, he was the president, his term ended. But like, as the president, you keep your security because you're the former president. So then we were thinking, okay, he's the former president, and so that's why he's in a regular house and not like the White House. But obviously it's because they have the simulated Earth
village town
place.
Or whatever.
Xavier and the president are talking, and this is like a flashback to just the night before. And they're like having this conversation. He's like, come on, don't you want to play blah blah blah? He's like trying to get him to play a game or something, I don't know, because he's so unserious. So he's like, don't you want to do this thing? And he's like, no, I don't. And so they're talking about like, when did you stop calling me sir, and like all of this stuff. And I'm looking like, first of all, you've already said that you gave this guy the job because he's black, and like you want to appear to be progressive and whatever, but like now you're like, oh yeah, don't you forget your place.
That part.
And so I'm looking like, are you freaking kidding me?
I forgot to write that part down. Like, you
so he says like, so I wrote like, they're on the outs, but why? Like, what happened? And then the president says like, will you ever forgive me? And he says, I will forgive you when I can sleep again, and I'll sleep again when you're dead. And that was the last conversation that they have with each other. And then he comes back the next day and he's freaking dead.
That's the end of episode 1.
Right.
Really good. Episode 2 is called Sinatra.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. So episode 2, we're now 12 years before, and it sounds like it looks like they're having a meeting of the minds, is what I said. There's like all of these different people are in this like hangar. I don't know where they are.
It looked like a hangar, and then they were going to go onto the plane. Okay, so they're all like in this hangar, and they are just standing around. No one's talking. It's like dead silent. And then this woman comes in. We find out later that her name is Samantha, but they call her Sinatra. This is her nickname. We kind of find out later in the episode why this is her nickname. But she comes in and she's like, hey, like, I've gathered you all here because you're all really smart. You all have something to offer, and like, I'm trying to do this thing or whatever. So like, we're gonna go somewhere else and like talk about it. I don't know. Whatever. So they're on the plane. There's this guy who is like an engineer or something, and he is terrified of flying. So everyone, like, people are on the plane, and not the plane. It's like a jet. It's like a personal PJ, a private jet.
And so it's not a commercial flight. And so people were up and walking around and whatever, and he's in the chair with the seatbelt on, like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. This is probably what I look like when I fly, because I'm a terrible flyer. But so she comes in and she's like, hey, like, you know, my husband was really afraid of flying or something like that, and whatever. And she's like, this jet is like $250 million, like, it's that much money because we know it's not gonna crash. Like, I wouldn't spend all of this money on something that's gonna crash out of the sky. And so she's trying to, and failing to, make him feel more comfortable. Like, it's gonna be okay. Number one, I feel like that's a weird thing to say. Maybe talk about the pilot's experience or something. Not that this costs so much money and that's why it's gonna be fine. She's an interesting person. And so anyway, they start talking. He's like, yeah, I'm sure that's what they want you to believe.
Nobody buys a plane thinking it's gonna crash.
Exactly. Because if you thought that, you would spend your money on something else and stay your butt on land. Anyway, so she's talking to him, and she's like, okay, you're the guy who builds cities. Like, if you had unlimited resources to design an underground city that could house 25,000 people, and everything looks like the real world that we have now. So there are trees and phones and whatever. Like, could you make it happen? Or she said, like, what would you say about taking on a project like this? And he goes, well, first I would laugh, and then I would laugh again. And then I will laugh again, and then I will tell you that it's impossible. There's no amount of money that could make this happen. And she's like, okay, like, we'll see about that, essentially.
Yeah.
And so they go to a remote space. I said bunker, because I don't really know where they were. That's what it looks like. And she says, like, build me my city.
Yeah.
Like, here it is. Here's the space.
He said they needed a space the size of Toledo.
Yeah.
And there's no place for you to get that amount of space.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, here it is.
Yep. Build it. Do
Build
it right
my
now.
City.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so then, do they flash back further? Or do they go back to the present time?
Present. I think present. Okay. I have present day on here.
All right.
It cuts to Xavier. He has the president's pack of cigarettes.
Yes.
So, like, this whole time when they have, like, this banter with each other, he's telling him, like, no, you shouldn't be smoking. Like, those things are going to kill you, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And so he, like, continues to smoke. But I guess at some point, I don't know when.
He got the pack of cigarettes.
Yeah. And there's, like, blood on the outside of it and whatever. Yeah. He takes it out, takes one cigarette out of the pack, and it has a number on it, like a 6-digit number. And so he's like trying to figure out, like, what is the significance of this number. And like whatever. And then from there you see, I called the lady who's like building my city, I called her Bob lady, because I liked her hair was like cut in a bob. It was cute. And they don't say anyone's freaking name until so much later in the episodes. I don't think they said Xavier's name in the first episode. I think at some point they said Collins, which is his last name, but you don't find out, because I put Xavier Collins. I wrote it because I'm like, oh, this is his name. This is who he is.
I had to go back and look for it.
Yeah, I'm like, what the heck? So anyway, they don't say her name until much later. We learn that her name is Samantha, and she has this nickname of Sinatra because she's like orchestrating things. So yeah, anyway, my notes say Bob lady because I didn't know her name. So you see kind of the inner workings of the city. She's starting to write, Cal is the president's first name. She's starting to write his eulogy. And then she starts talking about, and then they flash to the past. They flash back. And they're showing us how she met her husband. She met him in a bar. She went there to celebrate that she is, she sold her company. And she's like, oh yeah, like if this goes right in a year, I'm going to be worth $14 billion. And he's like, cool, my softball team just won our tournament. So like, I'm also celebrating. And then she's like looking at him like, weirdo. And he's like, it was fast pitch softball, just so we're on the same page. And she's like, actually, I'm worth $34 billion. I don't know why I lied and said $14 billion. And he was like, oh, it was soft pitch or whatever. Slow pitch. He's like, I don't know why I said that either. Like, I didn't want to sound lame next to your like billions of dollars or whatever. Which is hilarious. So they're like cute together or whatever, and obviously they start dating and
married and all that.
Then from there it flashes to present. Xavier is asleep and he's like having a dream or a flashback. He's on the phone with his wife on the plane. And I don't know, she sounds like in distress. It's like really loud. And I feel like she's saying like, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna get there or something like that. And then you see like the huge flash of light. So like this life-ending catastrophe, whatever it was supposed to be, happens. He's on the plane, she's not on the plane. And so obviously she's no longer with us. She didn't make it on the plane for whatever reason.
Very sad. So that's why he's upset. So, and then their argument in the previous episode, Xavier and the president, well, it wasn't really an argument, but Xavier is explaining to him, he goes into the story about how his wife chose the name for their son, James. She saw this book called James and the Giant Peach, and she really enjoyed the book. She read it all the time to her belly before the baby was born and things like that. And Xavier says after she's gone, he's been obsessed with the book, like he knows everything about it and stuff. And apparently the author said he was going to name it James and the Giant Cherry, but he thought a peach would be more squishy or something to that effect. And he's like, so it could have been James and the Giant Cherry, and would she have still wanted to name our son James if it was called James and the Giant Cherry? He's like, but I wouldn't know because you, or something like that. Like I don't get to ask her that question because of you. So essentially the president did something or didn't do something. Yeah. But, she didn't make it to the plane.
Right. Which is interesting that he now has to protect this person with his life who he is blaming, right or wrong, because we don't exactly know what happened yet. So right or wrong, he blames this person for his wife's death. And yet he has to protect this person with his own life. Yeah. And so I think that is where that's where the breakdown is coming from. Is like, I have to do these things for you. You couldn't do something similar for me, which maybe apparently he had reassured him, like, she's gonna get on the plane, like, don't worry, just go. I'm thinking in my mind, like, this thing is about to happen, you're here, your kids are here, get on the plane and go. I will make sure that she makes it on the next flight or the other plane that's going, or, they're taking 25,000 people to, so there has to be multiple planes.
And we don't know this for sure, but I'm just thinking, like, did he lie to him and say, I'll bring your whole family and
oh my gosh,
not the wife?
Yeah. Which would be nuts. But that can't be, because she's on the phone and she's like, I'm on my way.
I know,
or whatever. But I guess it could be.
Yeah, like they lied to all of them. Yeah. And like, even up to the last second, like, we're trying to get her.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows? We'll see. Hopefully, that answers the question. But yeah. So anyway.
That's a good point, because I didn't think of that at all. I was just like, she was taking too long. And they were just like, we gotta go. But
because, like, my thought is like, okay, if you know, like, you have the technology, you have all of the science and all that telling you that this is happening, you have to be like, okay, at some point, everyone needs to be together. Like, no going grocery shopping, like, going to work and doing quick errands and all that stuff. Everybody needs to be at the huddle place to get on the freaking plane. So, it just seems unfathomable to me. Unless some freak accident, some freak thing happened and it escalated the time schedule or whatever for this event to happen, So, I'm like, y'all got all that technology to tell y'all this is coming and stuff, and you have enough technology for all these people to be on the plane. But so why wasn't she?
Right.
Like,
look what happened.
Yeah.
What is the thing?
Yeah. So,
I'm sure we'll find out. But I'm like, oh, this is not great. Like, I would fucking hate you too. I would hate him too. Yeah. Like, and this is obvious, this is not a job that you can be like, you know what, I've reconsidered and now I'm done. F you. There's no place to go. You're there for this one specific reason, which is to protect the president. So like, you don't have any recourse. It's not like this is what you are doing right now in like present day United States, where you can say, I quit. Like, this is so silly. I'm done with this. And you can go find a different job. No one's gonna hire you. You're in this tiny, this is it. 25,000 people, that's it. You can't make any other concessions or any different plans. Your position is your position. And the only reason that you're there is to fulfill it. And these are people who have created an underground world. They can just be like, send them out into the whatever is out there, and like, good luck, buddy. Which would not be great. So all of that. So he wakes up and stuff, and
Billy's downstairs making the kids like pancakes and stuff, and also is her name Robinson, the black lady, who is the mistress of the president. Well, you can imply that she was like going in all like on the on the video.
Her earrings were left behind.
Yeah, her earrings were left behind and stuff like that. So he said, "Are you going in for a nightcap or something like that?" Is what that guy who was watching the camera. So she's coming to pick up Collins so that they can go and obviously like do a debrief and like interview and all that stuff after that. So, but we find out that Robinson is actually Agent Collins' boss.
Right. Oh my gosh. I'm looking like, what is this?
I don't like this. Because why they gotta pick the black lady to be the dadgum mistress?
Right.
And it gives off the idea that I don't know, maybe it's not true, but how did you get your position? Because you're sleeping with the man? Or like that type of thing. And the similar thing with Olivia Pope and the president. Like, I did not like that.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
Because you are powerful, this powerful black woman. You are able to get your own man.
Yeah.
Like, and not be this person's like side piece or second thought.
Yes.
I don't like that. And this is the only black woman in the show.
Yeah. And there is this stereotype. Oh gosh, here we go. There's this stereotype of black women being easy and like they sleep around and they're so promiscuous and like all of this stuff, which is, you know, rooted in the fact that during times when we were enslaved, we could not resist. Yeah. And by us not resisting, white women or other, maybe not just white women, other people on these plantations or what have you, saw the lack of resistance as, oh, like they really like having sex. And so now they're open to doing all of these things, and this is where the stereotype comes from. Yeah. However, we know that in not resisting, we are able to live another day, not have our children be ripped from us and murdered or, you know, raped or whatever. Yeah. And so that was a form of self-preservation. Yeah. Which I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm just going to talk about self-preservation in every show that we talk about, because I'm just like, self-preservation is a thing, and it is something that people should be like thinking about and aiming for, which is why I'm like, bro, why are you not calling in this thing? Like when it first happened, and like, call it in, you're standing in the doorway, like the camera's behind you, they can see that you didn't go in, like call it in and stop fucking around. Yeah. But obviously he had his reasons. But anyway, this stereotype of black women being easy and like not being able to achieve anything in the workplace without first having slept with their boss or, you know, someone in power or whatever is obviously a false thing, a false perception, but it comes from like, I don't know, hundreds of years ago when we could not resist. And it was maybe because we're not resisting, now we get to be in the house instead of in the field or, you know, whatever. It's a perpetuation, is that a word? Of that stereotype. And so I'm like, the fact that you made her a black woman, I don't like it for that reason. And the fact that like when he's being interrogated, he is like, oh, by the way, she's sleeping with him, just in case you guys didn't know. Like I get why he did that. But it's like the only two black people on the show. You're pitting them against each other. And I don't like that.
Either, bro. And Diddy, I'm like,
her the therapist and make the therapist the person. Because what the F? Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I had such a hard time with this. I was like, I'm gonna get on the soapbox about this one. Because, like, what are you doing? Why?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, so they make the black woman a bad guy. Yeah. Golly.
Right.
And she's sleeping with the man. And oh my gosh. Yeah. I didn't like that one.
I know.
I'm like, where are the other, and I know, I'm like, okay, every show is not gonna be black people.
What we need it to be.
It's not gonna be all like that. Like everything's not gonna be like Cross or freaking Insecure or something like. So But I'm like, okay, all right. So that was just my thought. I'm like, okay, what did I say? The only two black people in the show are beholden to the white man.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Probably. Okay. So anyway,
not even just that they're pitted against each other, but yes, they are beholden to this white man. Yeah. It's annoying. Okay, so they go in. They take his weapon. And he says it's like a glorified blah blah blah, but go ahead and have it, I guess. Yeah. So I don't know if they don't have like
maybe bullets not. Or something. Oh yeah, because I mean you reveal later that the president was hit with a rock.
Yeah, he was like bludgeoned to death. Okay, so anyway, they take his weapon, they like strap him up for a lie detector test, and so they're watching Samantha is watching along with the therapist. So we find out a little bit later that that's what her role is. They're watching his vitals, and he's being interrogated by Robinson. And then the therapist comes in, and she's like, I got this. Well, she only asked him one question, and it's not surrounding anything like, did you do it, or anything like that. She says, are you glad that Cal is dead? And then he's just kind of sitting there. We see his vitals. They don't really change at all. And she opens her palm up to him to face him somehow. I don't know. Yeah. And she, it says, say yes. And so he says, yes. Tells Samantha that, I think he's telling the truth. His vitals stayed stable throughout the entire thing. If he killed him, why would he have told us that he's glad that he's dead? He would have lied about it. He would have lied about it. He would have said something else to not make himself seem guilty, which then would have spiked on the machine, and we would have known that he was telling a lie. So you kind of see her like, it's kind of like, okay, do they have some thing going on, some kind of like relationship, or like she just really thinks that he's innocent, and so she's like leading him to say these things. That's what I was thinking. But then after that conversation, or after he's finished with that, he ends up meeting up with Sinatra, kind of like they cross paths in the hallway or whatever, and she's walking and stuff with him, and she's like, do you know who I am? He's like, you're Sinatra, and do you know they call me that? And he said, because of the hats. So very funny. I'm like, what hats? But then I'm like, Sinatra wears the hat. But I'm like, but what hat does she wear? I've not seen this woman wear a hat at all. No, but I think it's like, you wear the hat. You were the person, so you wear the hat. But I don't know. Maybe he was just being funny, and it just so happens that she actually is the boss. And so she does wear the hat. Because she's like everywhere, and she's not like, she doesn't have a position. Right. Like, it's not like she's like his chief of staff. Yes, I thought she was an agent of some sort. She's nothing. Like, they have not given her a title. Right. She's just everywhere. Yes. Like, but she is the mastermind behind the underground city. Yes. And therefore she is orchestrating all the things, and therefore she has earned the name Sinatra. Like, and find out later. And so she tells him like, okay, so you're gonna be taking time off, you're gonna get reassigned to something else. Like, she's telling him, and he's like, well, I'd rather like I'd be better suited. I'd be better suited to help, solve this. She's like, no, you're going to take the time off. Don't you have kids? You're a single dad, and that's got to be hard. And she's like, and I'm more important than you. Yeah, she said, and I don't care. And I'm more important. So yeah, you're doing what I told you to do. These people. Shut the F up and go to it. Before this conversation, though, there is a quick flashback, and you see that Samantha's son is very sick. And so her and her husband are meeting with this doctor. And he's like, look, I think it's time for us to have the difficult conversation, which is essentially like, your son is dying, there's nothing that we can do to help him. And she's like, no. And then he's like, she's like, no, I'll find someone else. And he's like, look, like, we've talked to all the people, we've done all the things, she said, you know, the doctor in Japan, he said he was going to look at his scans or whatever it was, and he's like, he did, and he has come to the same conclusion. So I'm bringing in this therapist, so this is how she knows the therapist, and how the therapist is part of this whole thing, is because years ago, when she was going through this very difficult time with her son, she was the grief counselor, essentially. And she's like, no, like, I'm not talking to this lady, I'm not talking to you anymore, like, F this, whatever. But like, they do end up working together because the son is dying. He has died. So then after this this conversation between Xavier and Samantha, where she's like, I don't care, and I'm more important, so it really doesn't matter what you want to do. You are taking a leave of absence or whatever, so shut up about it. And then we're gonna reassign you. After that happens, then we see another flashback with Samantha and the counselor. And she is talking about, it's 6 months after the son's death at this point. And so we kind of see, like, it doesn't matter how much money you have, like, some things you cannot buy your way out of, which is what she was trying to do, which rightfully so. If I had a ton of money and my kid was sick, I would be trying to figure out everything that I could figure out to make sure that they are still with me, because it's your kid. But that didn't work. And so it's now 6 months after he died, and she's talking to Samantha. Samantha's talking to the therapist, and she's saying, this was really difficult for me, like, watching this.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it was like so sad. But she's saying, she's talking to the therapist, and she's saying, like, they say time makes it better, like, it makes it easier. But she's saying, no, it doesn't make it easier, it makes it worse, because now I'm farther away from when her son was here with me. Like, I am struggling. And I have not experienced, like, the death of a child. But, like, what she was saying resonated with me. And from the standpoint of, like, having miscarriages this past summer, I think it was really hard for me, and like, this is like a little blob of whatever, and I don't know, I haven't met them, and they're not walking around with me or whatever, but it's, a loss is a loss, and it's really hard. And so I'm like sobbing as I'm watching this. She says, I'm broken forever. I don't need to be healed. I need to be functional enough for my daughter so that I can think about something other than throwing myself off a fucking roof. And I was just like, yep, that's how I felt. I was like, kind of as I move farther away from this experience of this miscarriage, which was really a difficult time, like, as I move farther away from it, it's gonna get easier. And in a sense it has, but in another sense it hasn't, because there's always these thoughts and, like, questions of, like, what would have been, and those kinds of things. I can't imagine going through that with a person that lived outside of my body and had a personality and was so, silly and goofy and cute and whatever it is that your kids are. It was, like, really difficult. This was like a really difficult scene. And then at the very end, so she's talking to the lady, she's sobbing, and she's like, please help me. Like, I don't know what to do, but I have another child that I need to live for. Like, I'm broken forever. My marriage is ruined. Like, that's over. We don't exactly see what happens with the husband quite yet. But, like, it sounds like they're in disarray, or maybe they're not together, maybe they're divorced at this point, who knows. But she's like, I need help, please help me. So I thought that was, like, very interesting. So sad. I was crying.
This was a challenging one, especially, like, with all the stuff that she's going through, because I couldn't imagine. Like, and then there was a scene at the end. I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. Oh my gosh. I'm like, what the freaking heck? I'm like trying to get ready for work, and I'm like, okay, I can't watch these type of things, because like ever since I've had kids, I'm like, I can't watch things with kids being sick and passing or whatever. Because it's too hard. I'm like,
Yeah.
If that happened to me, I would.
What do you do?
Like,
how do you get up the next day and go to work and keep doing the things that you have to do? I have no idea.
Yeah, and I don't never. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I would not wish it on my worst enemy.
Seriously.
And yeah, my miscarriages were very difficult and extremely traumatic.
Yeah.
This summer, and yeah, I didn't even know them.
Yeah.
I didn't even know them babies, and I was like struggling. I still struggle.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine like one of my children.
Yeah.
Passing away.
So
yeah.
But she was saying if they kind of get to that from when they were talking, she was talking to Xavier and saying like, yeah, I had 2 kids.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and so now she's only got her daughter.
Yeah.
But she's getting back into the swing of things in her life. Yes. And she goes to a conference. That's where she meets the president. She already knows he's not the president at this point. He's just a congressman. But they are both in like a talk, and this scientist guy, he's really upset that nobody is at his talk.
Oh my gosh, there's like 3 people in the audience.
Yeah, he was like, don't get, bum rushed or, on the way out. And so he's like, nobody cares about this. This is the most important session. But he's talking about how something's going to happen and everything's going to get wiped out and stuff. And so she, after the session, she's talking to the congressman and they're having a nice chat. And then the presenter walks by and she's like, hey, is that stuff gonna when is that stuff gonna happen, or is that really gonna happen? He's like, yes, it is going to happen. Like, people need to be getting ready and stuff. She's like, well, I've got a daughter, I need to like figure out how to fix this. And so then she goes off talking to the guy, and so that's how this whole thing gets started with that conference. And she wants to make sure that her daughter has a place to live,
right? And then we also see that in this scene that this is where the name Sinatra comes from, because Cal's dad nicknamed Sam Sinatra, I think, because she's like the head person. She's orchestrating everything. Yeah. And she's got her hands in a little bit of everything. Yeah. And so that's why, or that's where she gets that nickname from. Yeah. 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 So, and I'm assuming, and so she's gotten to this point with all of the money that she has. Yes. And that goes to a different thing about money and politics. Like, she can get so involved in this just because she's got, the money to make things happen and stuff like that, and to get into these rooms. So, one other thing that I thought was funny is that she asked the speaker, like, okay, like, what should we do about this? Like, if it's happening, it's when. Yeah. She's like, okay, what do we do? And he says, dig the biggest hole you can and get in. Oh, and so that gives her the idea of like doing this underground city, because that, like, he is obviously being sarcastic, and he's very disgruntled. Yes, extremely. Because no one cares, and he is like, no, guys, seriously, the world is going to end. So the whole eastern seaboard is going to be underwater because we're going to have a tsunami that's going to do this thing, and like, y'all don't care. There's like 3 people at this talk. Are you kidding me? So and he's like, what the F? Build a hole, get in it. And so she's like, let's do it. I will do that. I have lots of money. Yeah. So I can make that happen, no problem. Yeah. They decide that what they're going to do is tell the people, the 25,000 people, that Cal had a heart attack, or he died of natural causes. Not that he was murdered, because they're going to be very worried, because obviously he has around the clock security. How the F could someone kill him? How the F are people playing with the cameras and doing all of this stuff? So if they like tell what actually happened, it's going to send people into a panic, and they're going to feel unsafe. And then like this entire world, underground city, is going to crumble from the inside out. So they can't let that get out. So what they're going to do is they're going to tell the world that this is what happened. And don't worry, everyone's safe. We got it under control. Henry is going to be sworn in to be the president, and it's going to be great. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. So as Henry starts to make this speech, which is written by someone else, the lady tells him, like, just read the speech. Like, I think he was like, maybe asking questions. Yeah, and she's like, just read the speech. You're not
getting paid to ask questions.
Yeah, go do your job. Thank you. So as they are, listening to Henry's speech, or we see that he's given this speech, Presley, who was Xavier's daughter, and the president's son, so they go into what looks like a library.
Yeah.
And so they're in there and they like start talking, and he's talking to her about how like his dad, like this like corny 80s 90s music, and he used to make fun of him, and their last conversation wasn't a good one. He told him that he hated him, or he hoped he died or something.
Yeah.
The very end of this episode, Lord, is first boy, I don't know his name. We need to name him. What does he look like? Like Cody. So
yeah,
he looks like, he also has great hair.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. And
his dad's name is Cal. So I feel like Cody or Brody or something sounds right. So Cody and Presley, and so they leave the library. They go. It looks like they go downstairs.
Yeah.
Downstairs of wherever they are, and then they are downstairs in the hangar, like, I don't know, looking at the planes or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Then, oh my God, it flashes to Sinatra, Sam, and her son in the hospital bed, and he like it kind of seems like maybe he was asleep. He wakes up, he's like, Mom, like, am I going to heaven? And she's like, does not know what to say. She's completely like shocked by the question.
Yeah.
She just like looks at him, and you can tell that she's like trying to figure out what to say.
Yeah.
You don't want him to be scared.
Yeah.
So then you don't want to say like, yes, you are dying.
Yeah.
But he doesn't ask that question. He asks, am I going to heaven? So he knows that he's dying. And so she's like trying to answer him.
Yeah.
And so what she lands on is, he's like, it's okay, Mom, like, you can tell me, like, I want you to tell me. And she goes, well, I think that you are. And he goes, what's it like? And she says, well, the thing about heaven is that it can be anything you want it to be. So what do you think you want to see there or whatever? And he said, I want it to be exactly like it is here, but with more horse rides. And so then it flashes to just like different parts of the underground world, and you see that there are little like horses everywhere throughout this community or whatever. And then that's the end. That's the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
It ends with
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that part was crazy.
Yeah, that was really sad.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, duh, just like answer the kid. But then you're like, as a parent, how do you tell your kid that they're dying?
Okay.
And so I think what she did made sense. It was like keeping it kid friendly, and like, I can't tell you what it's like because guess what? I'm still alive. I've never been there.
Yeah.
So like, what do you want it to be?
Yeah.
And so, that was like a tough thing to watch. I was also crying during this. I'm like, Jesus, what is going on?
I'm like, oh my god,
this is like so heavy.
Yeah. I'm like, I would have run out of the room.
Let's ask your dad.
I know, like, because I would not have been able to talk. Like,
right.
Yeah. But that was the end of the episode.
That was the end of episode 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, episode 3.
Here we go.
It's called The Architect of Social Well-Being.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know how it opens. I just remember that Xavier goes to see the woman.
Yes. So it opens with Xavier and Billy going on a run together, which is hysterical. Yeah. Because obviously we know from the first episode that Xavier runs every day, it seems like. Yeah. And that Billy don't. This is not his thing. He is a lift weights kind of guy. He is not a cardio dude. Okay. And so they're like jogging together, and Billy says, I'm gonna throw up. Or he says, I'm gonna pass out, or I'm gonna die, something like that. And he's like, you're fine, come on. And so you can see like Xavier is ahead of him in this run. The guy is like, oh my god, like slow down, I'm gonna pass out. And he's like, no, you're not, you're fine. And he goes, no, I'm gonna throw up and then I'm going to die, or then I'm going to pass out. He said something like that. And so he's like, oh my gosh, like, okay, I guess I'll slow down for you. So then they start walking, and he's like, why are we doing this in the first freaking place? Yeah. And Xavier says it has to look natural, like a normal thing that we would do. And he goes like, going to a bar and having a beer is a natural thing that we would do. Like, why aren't we doing that? Yeah. And he says like, oh, there's too many people there or whatever. Yeah. So that was just like hilarious to me. I was cracking up because that would be me. I would be Billy. Yeah. I would be dying. Same. Like, first of all, how are we having a conversation? So like when you're running, I don't know, and I don't know because I don't be doing that. Yeah. But I do know that you are going to expend more energy trying to talk while you run than just running. Yeah. Because from personal experience, not running but doing cardio, doing like a cardio dance or like a Zumba, if I am singing the song, I'm dying. Yeah. I am struggling. Yeah. So like, so running and then having a conversation while you're doing it it's got to be similar. Right. To the point that I don't know how people do that. Yeah. Because you see people running like, and and I'm like, I would be how are you talking? Stop talking to me. You know, right. Like I'm literally trying to look like I'm not dying while I'm dying. Yeah. So we cannot have a conversation. Yeah. We can sit and talk, or we can run in silence. We cannot do those things together. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's funny. That was really funny. But I think in the previous episode, Xavier tells Billy, like, you have to be my eyes and ears on this thing. Like, if we're going to solve this, like, so you keep going to work and stuff, because he was saying, like, this is bull. Like, why are they not letting you be, like, why are they sitting you down? Like, why are they sidelining you? And Robinson is heading this thing. You should be heading this investigation. Right. And he's like, fine, you'll be my eyes and ears. So they have to have these meetings so he can get more information about what is going on. And it has to look like a normal thing that they would do, not like a, hey buddy, we need to figure this out. Right. Because the presumption is that people are watching them, or like places are, bugged or whatever. Oh yeah. And remember so at the town hall, he says to Billy, there's something up with Sinatra and I'm going to take her down. Oh, yes. Yeah. He said, how are you going to take her down? He said, very fucking carefully. Very carefully, yeah. So that's his mission. He thinks Sinatra's up to no good. She's everywhere. Yeah. In everything. Yes. And she's like the leading her. Everybody's doing everything she says. Yes. Like, she is being Sinatra. Yeah. So that's that. Okay. Oh, and so he said, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to go see a therapist. Yeah. Yes. So now he's on his way to go see the therapist. So he goes to the therapist's house, and he asks her, so they like, he goes to her house or her place of business. I don't know. Something like that. It looks like a house when they walk out, but I think he like knocks on her office door. Right. Yeah. And so they start to talk a little bit, and she's like, want to take a walk with me? And he's like, bro, I'm just trying to find out information. Like, why are we going on a walk? Yeah. And she says, like, essentially, or he asks her, like, what, you think this place is bugged or something? Right, yeah. And she doesn't answer immediately, but then eventually she says yes, and like does something, like continues on with the conversation, but like she was clearly answering that previous question, but not in context of the question, which makes you feel further that it probably is bugged if she felt like she couldn't answer that question immediately upon being asked it. So they go on a walk, and they're just chatting it up, trying to figure out what is going on. She though is when she's having these conversations with him, she is talking about this place that they've created, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right. I want to know what happened to Cal, or whatever he says. Like, I don't want to talk about the bugs. Right. She's like, this was ingenious. They have the bug sounds, and they recorded it from all of these different, like, forests, or, I don't know, places. Like, in the day and night, and dawn and dusk, and whatever. And he's like, I don't care about this. Why are we talking about it? But it's because she is like, I don't know where there are cameras. like where there are like these like recording devices. I don't know.
Yeah.
So like I don't feel safe talking about this. This is what I'm getting from her.
Right.
I don't feel safe talking about this out in the open. And so they ended up venturing into like a grocery store.
Yeah.
And they start to have some conversations in there.
Yeah. And throughout this, she's asking him like, so tell me about...
Yeah, tell me about your dad. Like, I want to learn, I want to know about your dad. She is harping on this piece, and I don't know. Well, we see at the end why she was doing it. She was trying to get specific information from him.
Yeah.
To show like his character.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she probably knew what she was asking him. Like, she probably knew the answer to whatever it was that she was asking, but wanted to see if he would actually like tell her.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
I got, so because she said, I see what's in the file and I want to know what's not in the file.
I want to know what's not in the file.
And I don't think he had told, I don't think what he told her was in the file.
So this is where they go to the morgue. They see all the things. They throw up, and she's like, "Yo, I need you to do this job. Like, stop being freaking dumb. You can't be in here daydreaming about this guy. I need you to figure out who took the device." Then, so kind of, it goes back to Xavier and the therapist, and as they are chatting, she's like, "Okay, that's all I'm going to tell you. I want to know about your father." And then they have a flashback, and I feel like it's a quick one. They like meet up at this like airport or something.
Yeah, so I think he was still in school. He was still at the academy, and so his dad is like a pilot or something like that, and because he used to be a Tuskegee Airman.
His grandfather.
Oh,
his grandfather was a Tuskegee Airman. His father was the first Black man to fly on a commercial, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, but they've got the planes in their family, and so I think they just meet up when the dad is in the town or whatever, and he's about to fly out. So they meet and they play chess.
Yeah.
And they talk about his career and stuff like how is the academy going and things
yes.
like that. So I think
so we see here that Xavier cannot become a pilot.
Yes.
Because he has poor eyesight.
Yeah.
And so he tells his dad that he's that the wife is pregnant, and I think he tells her that he's on the vice president detail.
Yes. Yes.
During this flashback as well, and so the dad is like so proud and like, oh my gosh, you're doing great things, and he's like, yeah, so I'm doing this like. You and mom gave me my poor eyesight, which made it so I can't fly. Yeah. But I am doing just fine. Yeah. It's okay. I'm doing these things. Yeah. And like, I don't know, he tells him in a very cute way, I can't remember how, that he's going to be a grandfather.
Oh yeah. He's like, the dad asked Xavier, how's your wife doing? Which I can't think of her name. He's like, yeah, she's just really having a lot of nausea and stuff, morning sickness and stuff. And he said sick in the morning and stuff. He's like, oh yeah, that's rough. And he's like,
Dad.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Yeah. And so then he's like, oh, I'm going to be a granddad and stuff. So yeah, very.
It was adorable.
Yeah. Very sweet.
And so you see they have a strong relationship.
Yes.
They're both upstanding men, and doing these things and living in Black excellence and all.
Yes,
all
absolutely.
The things.
Yeah. Very nice.
Okay, so then I just have here that Xavier makes a deal with the therapist to open up. So I think she says, like, tell me about what's not in your file. Yeah. And I will tell you, like, I'll answer your questions that you have. Something like that. And so he's like, fine, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Then this is where Robinson starts fantasizing about the president. Yeah. And Sinatra tells her, do your job, find the freaking iPad, stop being dumb. Yeah. Then it flashes to, or like we switch over to Xavier and the therapist again. And she tells him, like, I helped design this place. I like to call myself the architect of social well-being. And so she talks about how she wanted to make sure that there was a place of community, and so they made this grocery store, and they have like certain scents or I don't know, whatever that like makes it feel like home. And so it's a place that people want to come to and like experience with other people and whatever, which is crazy to me because I do not like going to the grocery store. And I'm like, this is not the thing that would make it feel like home for me. Yeah. I would be like, is there a Target? Is there a Starbucks? And if there is, I'm like halfway there. Yeah. I do not care about a marketplace community, the grocery store. I hate going to the grocery store.
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
annoying.
I don't know if we would have been part of the 25,000.
Yeah, I don't think I would not have been picked if it was that. Like, if one of the things was like, you have to love going to the grocery store. And it was like, she can stay. She hates that shit.
Yeah.
She's not going to frequent this market, which will make her feel grounded in the experience. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't. I would be like, you guys have Instagram?
Right.
Because that's how I get groceries.
Same.
Yeah. So, anywho, this was her thing. And so she's like the psychology behind all of, making people feel at home and kind of buying into this new place to live. Yeah. Which honestly, if you think about it, like, you have to be so incredibly trusting of the people who have created this place. Yeah. To be like, I mean, also self-preservation. So maybe it's enough to just know, like, if I go, I'm going to live, and if I don't, I'm going to die. Right. And maybe that is like, oh, I don't care what this place is. I'm going. Yeah. But like, also to be there and really buy into what is happening. Yeah. And not just like, okay, great, we're in this hole in the ground, and like, la-di-da, this is not like home and whatever. Like, to actually like immerse yourself in it, so you feel like you're at home, even though you very well know you're not. That would take a lot. Oh yeah. So absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a point to be made about the psychology involved in doing something like this, and I'm really glad that they touched on it, because it has to be more than technology and money. Yeah. Because you can be in a place and be like, bump this, I'm leaving. I mean, not in this case, you can't really leave, but you know what I mean? Like, you can change your job and really not buy into what's going on, because what's going on is complete nonsense. Yeah. Versus like coming into a new place and being like, oh, okay, like, I see what they're doing here. This is, the culture is great, and I do feel supported, and blah blah blah, and that's going to make you buy into whatever the thing is more, and then you're more likely to like do your part to keep that going, to keep up the appearances of it. So I really like that they touched on that piece. So that you don't feel, so that people don't feel like it's like a prison. Right, because like, it is a prison. Because they can't go anywhere. You cannot leave. Yeah. You can't be like, you know what, I think been here for like 2 months. I'm feeling like it's not the right change that I should have made. Right. So you guys can just send me back home. Like, that's not an option. Yeah. So you do have to be all in, because even if you're not, you're stuck there. Yeah. So you might as well be all in and enjoy the fact that you're alive, and like literally everyone else has died. It's not even like you left your family somewhere else and whatever. Like, no, those people don't exist. Jeez. And so the therapist talks about the fact that she, I don't know where this is, but she talks about the fact that she handpicked the 25,000 people, and in doing that, she also handpicked all of the other people that were going to die, which is heavy. Yeah. Heavy. I was like, dang. Really think about before he goes to her house, she's like having flashbacks or visions of like people's photographs and stuff like that. So I'm like, are these the people that she chose, or are these she's like having like, I won't say nightmare, but kind of people that she didn't choose. Yeah. Because she sealed their fate. Either way, she sealed everyone's fate. Right. Either you're on this thing or you're not. And right. You only take 25,000 people out of however many people live in the United States. That's like nuts. Yeah. Very nuts. Crazy. Okay, so let's see. What else? So Robinson, we switch back. There's so much back and forth. Yeah. So we switch back to Robinson, and now she's talking to the team. She's talking to Billy and Jane. Yes. And Garcia. Garcia is the tech person who was like doing the cameras and stuff. Mm-hmm. So she's talking to them, and she's like giving them an update. And Billy says that Xavier should be here doing this with us. Like, why is he not? And Sinatra like clears her throat, and everybody stops. Yeah, everything stops. It is completely silent now. She comes down the stairs and she just stands there and she goes, oh, like, yeah, keep going. Like, don't stop on my accord. Keep doing what you're doing. So she dismisses the team, and then like Garcia goes one place, and then Jane and Billy go another, like a different direction, and they like go around the corner, and now they're talking and they're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get caught. Or Jade is like, Garcia told us that there's a 10% chance that they can figure out who froze the cameras. And Billy's like, yeah, but like obviously there's a 90% chance that he won't figure it out, so like it's fine, don't worry about it. He like pulls her behind, like around the corner, and they like start kissing or whatever. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Did they do this so they could go off and have sex or something? Because like, don't y'all sometimes not work at the same time? Like, right. That would be the safer bet, not toying with the freaking cameras of the president. I know. And then of course something happens in this moment when you guys are doing dumb shit. And then, so like we're talking about that, and then it jumps to Sinatra, Sam, and Henry, and I don't remember why they're talking because I was annoyed with this. Yeah. But she's like, oh my God, you're so great. You did so good. Oh my God, I love it. Whatever. Yeah. And then she's like, the only person that's done better than you did, or something like that, is your wife. And she's so whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, that outfit, like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. People are going to be talking about this forever. And like, whatever. To open a store. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. Right. I'm like, this is fucking lame. Yeah. First of all, do you guys not see through what she's trying to do? Because when I don't know this Sinatra person, obviously all we know is what we have seen from her. Yeah. This is not her personality. She is not a bubbly, oh my God, girl, look at that outfit kind of person. Right. She is like, do what I fucking said to do. Shut the fuck up about it. Yeah. Deliver on what you need to deliver on. Yeah. Period. The end. Those are the conversations we have seen her have. Yes. We have not seen her have a conversation about, I love fashion. Right. Or, wow, this person is dressed so nicely. We've never seen that. Yeah. So not even any niceties. Not even any pleasantry. Yeah. At all. We have not seen, even when she's like she meets the husband in the bar. Yeah. She's just like, oh, by the way, I'm a billionaire. Right. Just so you know. Yeah. Who I am. Yeah. Yeah, like with her kids or whatever. Yeah. She's like, okay. Even when the kid was like having a seizure on the horse. Yeah. She was just like, oh my gosh, like obviously worried about him. Right. But she wasn't like scoop him up and not, I don't know. I was just like, you guys really think that she gives a fuck about this? Like, you think she's telling the truth? She just, like, she knows what the guy needed to hear to do the job, because he's concerned, like, somebody's going to come after me too. Like, obviously they got to him. He's got security all the time. Like, what about me? Like, and so he's over here like panicking basically. Yeah. And she's like, whatever I need to do to get him to he just needs to fall in line and do the thing. Right. So let me just tell him. Let me throw this guy a bone. Right. Yeah. So and I think that's that for that scene. Yeah. Oh yeah. Then he's like, okay, that'll be all. Like, he tries to dismiss her, and she's like standing there like, this is my office. This is my office, you fucking idiot. And he's like, oh yes, of course. And so he has to leave after he just tried to dismiss her, which is hilarious. Like, I'm like, so you're really feeling yourself all of a sudden. She told you did a great job, and you're like, that's right, I am the president. Get the fuck out, bitch. Yeah. And she has to tell you this is not your office? Like, that's embarrassing. Yeah. Oh it's very much so. You feel stupid? Because you should. Oh, Lord. Anyway. Okay, so then jumps back to the therapist and Xavier. And again, she talks about how she wants to know more about his dad. Yes. So they have a little flashback, and he's telling her more about like a different interaction. I think this is a separate occasion that they're, at the airport and talking. Yes. And he says they're like playing chess. Dad moves the piece on the chessboard, and he has a trimmer, and Xavier is like, Dad, what's going on? What's a trimmer? Talk to me. What's going on? And he's like, oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And then he's like, it's not fine. I saw your hand. What is going on? And the dad tells him, I have Parkinson's disease. And Xavier is like, he has this look on the face, and Dad's like, all right, you're gonna start crying. He didn't start crying, but you could see he's worried, he's stressed, he doesn't know what's going on with his dad. And he tells the therapist, like, I don't want to talk about my life because my life ended. Everything, everyone that was in it is gone. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Like, stop asking me to tell you about my family or about my dad specifically. But like, I don't want to have this conversation anymore.
That's when they had he got loud in the and before, when they were talking, she was talking about the community and the marketplace and stuff, and we've engineered the world famous cheese fries.
You're right.
He's like, no amount of freaking cheese. Well, he says, no amount of cheese fries is going to change any of this.
Right.
Like, I don't want to hear about this. Tell me what I want to know, basically.
Yeah.
They're like, wow,
I'm trying to solve this case.
That was a lot. Yeah, okay. And so he's like, well, what are we going to do now? And she's like, well, you're not going to like it, but I think we need to go have some cheese fries. So they go to
freaking lames.
Yeah.
So they go to the diner to have the cheese fries, and she talks about how she's watching him. He's watching everything else. He's counting the exits. He's looking for suspicious people. He's looking for these threats or whatever. And she goes that it must be really scary or lonely or something to spend your life like this. We are here to have cheese fries, bro. And I'm telling you, these are the best cheese fries you will ever have in your life.
Yeah.
And so I'm so excited about that. And you were just here trying to find the danger that doesn't exist. And so he points out a lady who's cutting meat, a steak or chicken or something. And then she switches hands and she's cutting it with her other hand. And he's like, that lady, I would peg her as a threat because she's switching her hand. She can use a knife with both hands. This is a threat. And she says or where you see a threat, I see a mom who has just learned to feed her kid regardless of the side of her body that the kid is on.
Yeah.
If the kid's over here, I'm going to cut it this way. If the kid's over here, I'm going to cut it this way. Yeah. Because I'm a mom, I have to feed my kid, and I'm not going to be like, oh no, sweetie, you got to move to this side because I can only do it with this hand. No, that's not what you do. You just adapt. So he's scanning the diner, looking for threats, all of this jazz. The waitress brings the fries over, sets it down on the table in between them, and then she takes a freaking fry, bro. Yeah. I'm like, sorry?
I know! I was like, I didn't even see that the first time I watched it, and I'm like, really? Y'all that comfortable? She's just like, oh, let me just grab one. Oh, so delicious. You work here. Right. You can get them whenever you want.
You can. You know what they taste like. And I feel like in the real world, if this happened at a restaurant, someone set your food down for you and they were like, but let me just take a couple fries, they would be fired. I'm looking like, what kind of establishment is this? And granted, maybe they can't do that because they only have 25,000 people and someone needs to work this shift. But what are you doing? I would be
obviously they're friendly with each other or whatever, but still, it's just so. Weird.
And they talk about when they walk into the diner, that lady says, "Oh my gosh, you're cheating on me with him! You're coming here for fries. This must be the only thing that this freaking therapist eats." So she knew exactly what she was going to order. She did not have to place an order. She was like, "I'll get your fries. Your fries will be out in just a second." And she says, you're here with him? We share fries together. Why are you here with him? Or whatever. So obviously they're very close, which is nice and lovely. But don't put your hands in my food. When my own children put their hands in my plate, I'm like, have you lost your minds? What are you doing? So a person that I am not related to did that. as they're serving me my food at a freaking restaurant, I would need to speak to the manager. Like, we are not. This is not what we're doing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But yeah, apparently the fries taste good. I figured they probably wouldn't, but
they didn't look great.
First of all, crinkle cut fries are disgusting.
Right. You got frozen fries.
Yeah.
And you put some cheese on it.
Yeah, and yeah, and she said it was cashew cheese.
Oh, no. He said, no, I don't do that cashew crap or whatever. And I think she said, like, oh, no, it's not that.
No,
it's real.
she said it is that.
Oh.
She said it's not the cashew, it's the chemicals or something like that.
Oh.
I think that, I don't know if
so, like, it's made with cashews, but it tastes real because we put all this crap in it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's a no for me.
Yeah, I know. It didn't look good. It sure didn't. They could have made some better effort on that.
It didn't look seasoned.
Yeah.
Or anything. It looked like you got some frozen fries, you dropped them in the fryer.
Yeah.
And then you found some cheese sauce, I guess.
Yeah.
And you just put on top of it. And you brought it out. I was like, what is special about these fries?
I know.
But I guess they taste good. And he was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's like,
so good.
They're so good.
So they must be really good.
Yeah.
You're a good actor. Because they're not. But they appear to be very tasty.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Oh, they started like having bonding and talking about what they miss about the real world. And I think that that breaks down his walls to feel comfortable to share about what she really wants to get to, which is tell me about your father's last flight. And
so then they do this flashback and they're talking about Dad's last flight. And so they meet in the airport like normal, and he tells him like, hey, I'm gonna be security, or I'm now on the president's detail, and I get to ride on Air Force One. And so Dad's like so excited because obviously he's a pilot and he loves this and whatever. And so they're talking and he says like the meds are controlling my tremors, like we're good, we don't have any issues there. He takes Dad to see her, which is Air Force One. And so he talks about like it's like it can go 600 miles an hour and like all of these things, which Dad probably knows because it's a thing. And then they talk about legacy. They talk about the grandfather. So he's like, you are the son of Tuskegee Airmen. You are the first black pilot on a commercial airline or something like that. And then you have a son who is like the detail for the president of the United States. And so this is our legacy. We are, we're great men who have done great things and we've done it the right way. Dad. Yeah. It's time to retire. Yeah. Here are these papers. Yeah. And I just want you to know that I filed for your retirement for you because I knew that you wouldn't do it, but you need to. Like, you just need to be done. You cannot fly with Parkinson's disease. Like, my God. You cannot do that. And so here it is. These papers do not say that you failed at anything. It says that you did a great job. Yeah. And so here you go. I filed it, whatever. Yeah. And then it kind of flashes back to present day. He says that the disease progressed really quickly with his dad after that, and his dad passed away soon after that. So that was the last flight or whatever. Yeah. And this is where she is like, okay, I see now that you have a strong moral compass. And so this is the information that she was trying to get because she needed to figure out if she could trust him. Right. Like Cal trusted him. Yeah. Yeah, that was a touching moment. I was like, well, so when he first revealed that he had Parkinson's, I'm like, oh God, I think this son is gonna like tell on him. Oh, I did not think that at all. I thought I was like, because it's like such a big deal. Like you have like, first of all, because you kept asking about the final flight. I'm like, oh God, I hope he didn't like have an episode. Die. Yeah, he crashed. So I figured he was either going to tell on him or that there was going to be some like disastrous flight because he didn't tell. So I'm sure that was very challenging. Well, she said that must have been very hard for you. You said no, it wasn't. Yeah, because I knew I had to do it. Like my dad wasn't going to do it. I had to do it. Yeah, and so he raised him to be like to do the right thing essentially. So. Right.
Yeah, that was sad. But
yeah, that was very interesting. So then it kind of switches, and now it's Robinson and Sinatra meeting. Oh my gosh, this was the silliest freaking thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are meeting, and she's like, I know you like shows. I'm about to give you a show. So she calls, Robinson is saying this to Sinatra.
Yeah.
She calls in Billy and Jane, and she's like, why did they do it? And they're like looking at each other like, oh, why did they do what? What are you talking about? And she's like, why did they build a fireplace in here or whatever? And I'm like, what are you
talking about?
Yeah, like, what are you talking about, lady? I still don't know. Yeah. And the guy's like, ma'am?
Like,
he's like, I don't know, but we're in a cave. Like, we're under the ground, so maybe they...
Humans like fire?
Yeah, like, we want to be warm, bro. Like, what the hell? Yeah, like, why are you asking this question? Why are you being weird?
Yeah,
And so she says, why did you two shut down the cameras?
Yeah.
So I don't know why we talked about the fireplace. Was there a connection between the fireplace and the cameras? I don't think so.
I think she just trying to show off for this Sinatra lady.
Yeah, it was very silly.
Yeah.
So she's like, that shows that you have the means and the opportunity to like harm Cal or whatever. And she's like, they're like, oh, we were playing Wii tennis. We're playing the Wii. And then she's like, what? And he's like, and before they reveal like why, she's like, you have done this. This wasn't the first time. You've done it multiple times. This, that, and the other. And they're like, oh, we were playing video games and like trying on his socks and doing all, like, I took a nap in his bed. And like, we know it's very unprofessional. However, like, I don't know, we're guarding the president and nothing ever happens here. So like, and then Sinatra's like, until something happens. And they're like, like, good point. But in the moment, we're just like, oh yeah, let's play some video games and let's do this because nothing happens in this place. So they weren't exactly taking their job seriously, which is interesting. Because you're guarding the president. But yeah, so then they're like, get the fuck out of here. Get out. Go back to your whatever. And then, Sinatra's like, call me when you have some actual fucking clues here, lady. Like, what the F are you doing? So that was very silly. Let's see. So then it goes back to Xavier. He asks the therapist about the number that was on the cigarette. He's like, does this number mean anything to you? And she's thinking about it. She's like, no, like, I don't think so. And she's talking about how she lost her parents at a young age. And then she reveals to him that you are here because I chose you. In fact, everyone is here because I chose them. She was just like, I need someone that I can trust to always do the right thing. Yes. I think she said, like, this is why I chose you specifically. Because you have this high moral compass or strong moral compass. And I know that you're going to do the right thing. Regardless of what's going on. Even if it's to your own detriment, you're going to do the right thing. Like standing up to your dad, filing for his retirement, despite the fact that you know he's going to be pissed at you. Because this is his love. And then they kiss. Blech, disgusting. And he's like, I'm married. And she's like, I know. They go into the house and she like drops down. Looks like she's about to give this guy a head. But she's patting down his body. Which is interesting. I don't know why she's doing this.
I don't either.
Looking for a bug, looking for a weapon. I don't know. Initially I thought she was looking for like he was wearing a wire.
That's what I thought too. But then she just moves on.
And then she just like walks into the bathroom. They're naked in the shower. Don't like it. I'm like, shower sex? Like, what is this? Where's this coming from?
Because you said they better not make her love.
Oh yeah, this is what I say always. I feel like I see the point where I'm like, oh, she's gonna be the love interest. Or he's gonna be the love interest. Whatever. And I'm like, they better not do it. And then I'm like, no, they cannot do it. She's his therapist. Hello, that like goes against HIPAA. And other shit. Not HIPAA, but like it's an ethics violation to like have a dual relationship with your patient. Obviously. So like, they're not gonna do that. But we are living in an underground city.
Yeah.
So you can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not appreciate it.
I didn't either.
At all.
Yeah.
I'm like...
I was ticked.
But then I'm like... Is Robinson the only other black woman?
Yeah, that's what I know. That's the thing. That is the
Besides
thing.
his family and Presley's friend at school, do we see other black people in this piece? And I don't think we do.
Yeah,
so
no
maybe...
other black adults. But like, oh my gosh, I was watching this at the hairdresser, and I was sitting under the dryer, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm like, oh, these people are probably like, what the heck is going on? Like, are you? I wanted to turn it off, bro.
Right.
Like, I was so annoyed.
Yeah, I rolled my eyes. I was like, why do we have to do this?
Yeah.
And I don't know why I don't like it so strongly.
Yeah.
My husband is Hispanic, by the way.
No, but that's, I don't know.
So I feel like I feel like it's different too.
Yeah, it's different because there's two underrepresented communities coming together. Yes. I feel like many times they have the love interest be light skinned or white.
Yes.
And
why is that?
Why
do we do that?
Like, so it continues to perpetuate a stereotype or belief that light or white is better than brown or dark.
Yes.
And it is so freaking annoying, especially when you have a black male character that is like an upstanding, morally well, or however you say it, like person that would be a desired mate for anyone, but a black woman would be, happy to have this man. Yeah. Like, it wouldn't be a downgrade. It would be like an upgrade or like a good match. Right. And stuff. And so then putting them with someone else is like, what the freaking heck?
Yeah, why are we doing this?
And then there's that thing when it gets on, you'll leave your ass for a white girl or whatever. And I know he's not
said it.
So it's like, what the freaking heck, bro? Can we like move past that and let us see like a nice a black woman get a nice black man? Yeah. Like, what the heck? So it's just it's so annoying to me. Yeah. Like, if he was some like raggedy guy, go ahead. Fine,
take whatever. Your pick, babe.
Yeah, but like, what the heck?
Yes.
So annoying.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. This is like such an interesting conversation because yes, I agree wholeheartedly. But yeah, I think it just makes me think back to like Save the Last Dance. When Chanel, who is Kerry Washington, played by Kerry Washington, is talking to Julia Stiles, and she's like, this is a guy who is upstanding. Now they're in freaking high school, so whatever. Yeah. But like, he is not gonna run out if he makes a baby on somebody. Like, he's gonna be there. He's gonna be responsible. Whatever. But here you come, white. So you gotta be right, and you're taking one of the last good men. Yeah. That we have left, and I really don't ascribe to that there's only a few good black men out there. I don't think that that's a thing. Yeah, that's not a belief that I have. But to your point, it's like, this is like a really upstanding guy. He's going to do the right thing. We just had a whole episode about how he has this strong moral compass. And so why is his freaking love interest not a black woman? And I don't know, maybe it's the circumstance of we live in an underground world. There's only 25,000 people, and maybe there ain't no other black women. I don't know.
But then that goes to the fact of why you didn't pick more black women.
Right. Because what are you
just
doing?
Like
because you were in charge of who is coming, lady. So you could have had that in the forefront of your mind of like, okay, we're gonna have 25,000 people. 25% is gonna come from this race, and like done the thing. I don't know, but
and so then that leaves, and not to change from that part of it, but then I'm looking at her sus like, okay, did you make sure that his wife was part of this?
Right.
Like,
yes.
Are you involved in any way into the fact that his wife is not here?
Did not make it
Yeah.
on. Oh my gosh, because maybe it was more of an intentional thing than just like, oops, we got here too late, which is kind of what I was thinking in my head.
Yeah. So, but that whole thing was just like, you got
That's a good point. Because, like, if you were choosing these people to be here, like, you were choosing Xavier. Yeah. And obviously his family needs to come with him. Yeah. But what if there was something about this wife that you did not feel was a good fit for this community? Yeah. Maybe she's a scientist. Maybe she's a person that will be pushing back on all this bullshit that y'all are doing. Yeah. And therefore she is not a good fit, and we need to make it look like, oops, we didn't make it, but really it was an intentional, like, she can stay and die. Right. Which would be awful. Yeah. And even crazier that he's sleeping with this woman. Yeah. Or presumably.
Yeah. So, this whole thing was like, all right, I'm about to be done with this show. Like, how dare they? But I'm like, okay.
What are we doing?
It's okay.
Just calm down and watch the fucking show. Yeah. See what happens and how it plays out. Yeah. But I was like, even when they were on the porch, they were just like getting closer and closer. I'm like, why are you talking so close? Why are you guys so close to each other? Back the fuck up. What's happening right now? I was like, bro, what is this? First of all, we're talking about the numbers on the cigarettes. Does this mean anything to you? And now we're kissing. I'm like, ew. Yeah, and so I was hoping that when it happened, like, and they eventually do, like, she like talks close to his ear. But I thought that that's what it was. Like, let me just get close to him so I can tell him something. But no, they really like go freaking all the way. I thought this was just a means to an end to get information, but it's crazy. Okay, so yes, so they get in the house. She pats him down. I need to put this pin down. She pats him down, and I'm like, what is she doing? Yeah, obviously he would not have a weapon. Yeah, like she kept going over like his ankle, like the lower part of his leg, and I'm like, I don't understand what she's trying to do right now. Yeah. She's trying to see if he has a weapon. Yeah, because they're about to have sex, and like she doesn't want him to like kill her. I was so confused. Yeah, and then she walks away, and he follows her to the shower. They're in the shower, freaking naked, gross, disgusting. So, and then he like pulls her down on his lap or something, and she's like, I have a message from you from the president. Billy Pace is dangerous. Yeah. And that's like the end of the episode, right? Yeah. Does it show them do more? No, it doesn't. That was just the end of it. And then they cut to Billy in his car looking all like, oh yeah. And he's then, like watching the daughter. The daughter was like closing the blinds or something. Yeah, and he had a gun. Oh yes, there was a gun on his seat. Yeah. So what the? Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, okay. So there, I'm like, hold on. Maybe they're not doing this. Yeah, but I'm like, bro, like, please. Yeah, that could be it. But they are butt ass naked in the freaking shower. Yeah, like if that's the case, she could have gotten in the shower with her clothes on and said, "Come here." Or like, like we don't have to do all this. This is not about to be a thing. I just need to give you this information, and it's allowed in here. So if there's a bug, it can be like you won't be able to hear us talking. Yeah, but they were butt ass naked. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't either, bro. Yeah. I don't, because they were also doing other stuff. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't like they were just standing there talking. Right. Yeah. Like they were doing like, all the things beforehand, and then at the moment where she sat on him. Then she gives him the message. This is ridiculous, but overall unhappy. Yeah. Does not spark joy. Yeah. 0 out of 10 on this pairing. So hopefully they probably did do it, but hopefully not. Yeah. It's been 3 years, right, that he's been in this place. Okay. I feel like they said something about 3 years. Okay. So I don't know, Jesus. Yeah. It's crazy. Anyway, so now we have to worry about what the F Billy's about to do. Sitting outside of his house or whatever. Like, what is going on? You know, when he first came onto the show, I mean, when, you know, he wanted to call his man Cross. When Xavier first talked to him, I'm like, he looks a little sus. Yes, I thought he looked weird in the face. Yeah. But I was like, I'm sometimes not the nicest person. So he's gonna have these thoughts about someone, but he looks like kind of like angry. His like, brows are very like pronounced, like his brow bone. And I was like, he looks. But then he started joking, and then I was like, oh, okay, like, I guess that's just his face or whatever. I don't know. But I was at first I was like, who is this guy? Like, is he part of the thing? Yeah. Or is he, I don't know, someone who can't be trusted? Yeah. But who freaking knows?
Turns out he can't be trusted.
Turns out, right. Yeah. Which is crazy, because I also feel like they had, well, maybe he didn't find this stuff out about, what's his name? Billy? Why is his name Billy? I keep thinking, you know who I'm thinking of? Billy from freaking, what's it called? Scream?
Oh gosh.
Billy was the not Matthew Lillard, he was the other one, like the dark haired guy who was like kind of attractive. Okay. And Billy was, or like the other guy, Matthew Lillard was like the weirdo dude. Yeah, tall. Like, put the bat in the bat, whatever the heck he was saying. Oh my gosh, I need to watch that movie. Anyway, and I'm thinking of him only because their name is the same, but it's like making me laugh every time, because Scream is like a horror movie, but it's really a comedy to me. Like, I found so many parts hilarious. Like, what are we doing? How are these high schoolers serial killers? Oh yeah. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense, but yeah, I keep thinking of that guy. But yeah, like maybe he didn't find out that Billy was bad until when I say he, I mean the president. Maybe the president didn't find out that Billy was dangerous until he and Xavier were already on the fritz. Yeah. So like he didn't want to be like, oh hey, this guy is dangerous. Right. Because now we don't talk to each other, we don't like each other. Yeah. I'm the reason that your wife is not here with you, and like you're not gonna believe me or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I think the therapist said that, Gabriella, I think she said the last week something happened in the last week.
Oh yes.
That had him, you know, acting different.
Yes, yeah. Because she said he was like stumbling around drunk in my office, like in his bathrobe or whatever. Yeah, so he was going through something. Yeah. So we'll see. Nuts. Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Alrighty. Well, those are the first 3 episodes. Yes. Would you recommend the show?
I would definitely recommend the show. I am invested for sure. Yeah. I mean, Sterling K. Brown's all gonna watch it anyway. Yeah. But like the first episode, like I was in as soon as he said the thing about the biggest biceps don't make up for the smallest dick. And by the way, I'm talking about you, just so we're on the same page. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a fun show to watch. So, yes. Yeah, it's been good overall. Some things not a big fan of, but very interesting. Definitely keeps you interested. So for sure.
And like Jamar hasn't watched it. I've been watching it by myself. I'm like, babe, don't watch our review then.
Right, you're gonna know everything.
Yeah, you're gonna know everything. Yeah. So like, come on, we need to watch it. But so did Alex like it?
Yes. So we watched the first episode together, but then because I forgot about life, I had to watch it on our drive home. Today. So he said he was gonna watch the 2 episodes that he missed. Like when he goes to the gym. Okay. He like does the bike or whatever. He's gonna watch it. So he liked it a lot.
Yeah. Alrighty. I think so. I've only seen on Hulu 2 episodes showing up for like, I don't know.
Yes, there's only 2 upcoming.
And so it's only a 5-episode show?
No, I think they're going to keep dropping them every week. Oh. But they're not dropping it week by week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they released the first 3 episodes on the premiere date or whatever. And then this coming Tuesday, they're going to drop 2 more.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. All right. Yeah. Well, that's exciting. So, well, we will see you all next time. Be sure to like and subscribe. And we will see you for the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, episodes 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
Yes.
Alrighty. Bye, guys.
Thanks. Bye.